Hey folks, my name is Denis, and I'm a vegan. And today we're going to talk a little bit about veganism, but more about a new religious movement that pushes veganism, as well as really expensive jewelry, and the kind of bonkers teachings of a charismatic leader. For those of you who've been sticking with me since the podcast days, this is actually an unreleased episode of Dogma, a podcast about cults, that I was saving for today, World Vegan Day. How exciting is this? So I'm going to go ahead and apologize before anything for my pronunciations of people's names. A lot of the names are in tonal languages that my English tongue just is not accustomed to, so you've been warned. The day is May 12th, 1950, in a small Vietnamese village in the Quang Ngai province. On this day, a little girl was born to a Chinese father and a Vietnamese mother. Her name was Hui Dong Trin. Or there was a little girl born, the daughter of a wealthy Vietnamese neuropath, and she was raised Roman Catholic but was taught Buddhism by her grandmother. Her name is still Hui Dong Trin. She spent much of her time on an American army base and had a child from an American soldier when she was 19. She then moved to Britain and then Germany. Or in 1969, at age 18, she moved to England to study, then France, then Germany, where she met a German scientist, and they soon married, though it did not last very long. The two separated after 2 years to focus on spiritual growth. In 1979, she met a Buddhist monk in Germany whose monastery denied entry to women. Despite this, she still followed his teachings for 3 years before moving to India to study different religions. While in India, she wanted to buy a copy of the Bhagavad Gita, a holy Hindu script. The shopkeeper insisted that they did not have a copy of the book. Hui, though, insisted that a copy of the Gita was in the shop, and after some extensive searching, it was found in a sealed box in the store. This began a rumor that Hui had the third eye, which is a belief in many Asian spiritualities that is supposed to provide the keeper of the third eye with a perception beyond ordinary sight. I just also happen to have a copy of this too. Some guy gave me my copy. In India, she was taught Quan Yin by infamous Sanmat Hindu leader Thakar Singh, or she was taught Quan Yin from a Himalayan spiritual teacher, no name given. In 1983, she met a Vietnamese Buddhist monk in Taiwan named Jing Shi. Presumably, he felt that she was some kind of exceptional spirit and ordained her in 1984 as Tung Hai, which her website claims translates to pure ocean, though it's more closely translated to clear sea. She later translated her name to Mandarin,
Ching Hai,
though she spells it with a CH, not a Q. You see, there's basically 2 accounts of her entire life, up until the point where she became a spiritual leader, and this kind of shows the evolution of her being a little bit more fantastical than she actually is. From this point forward, I'm going to be referring to Hui as Ching Hai or Supreme Master, as those are the names that she is more closely identified with. Since the 1990s, Hui has given speeches around the world promoting a message of peace and promoting her followers to follow a vegan diet. In 1996, the Quan Yin movement and Ching Hai were gaining followers in China, and shortly after, she was declared anti-communist propaganda. No real surprise there, but we're going to elaborate on that in a little bit. Ching Hai is known for wearing very fancy clothing and handmade jewelry in order to command attention from people. This has garnered her some criticism from Buddhist monks and journalists, as it seems a little antithetical to the modesty that is often associated with Buddhism. Then again, there are huge golden statues of the Buddha, so I don't know what. Her followers have helped Syrian, Sudanese, and Rohingya refugees by feeding them and sheltering them, as well as proselytizing to them. So what are the beliefs of Supreme Master's followers? Well, it gets really complicated. It is honestly overwhelming to cover everything that Supreme Master teaches, but it can be boiled down to Mahayana Buddhist teachings mixed with New Age topics du jour, and a bit of Christ-opting. Christ-opting is a term that I've kind of picked up from the podcast Ona Ross and Carey, meaning to take teachings of Christ and kind of mold them into your non-Christian doctrine to give it some legitimacy. Supreme Master's followers do not tithe or donate money. Both are considered bad karma. They do sell various vegan items. This is considered work, so it's not bad karma. Ching Hai's practitioners are suggested to meditate 2 hours a day and repeat a mantra when they can. One practitioner says that they do that while they go for a walk. There are meditation centers around the world, and they have different hours for meditation. The same practitioner that I was talking about earlier said their local center plays the teachings of Supreme Master for an hour before meditating for 2 to 4 hours. They come in late, and there doesn't seem to be any sort of reprimand for this. The entirety of Quan Yin up until this point really does kind of sound suspiciously normal. Supreme Master herself admits that she did not develop the method, she was merely taught it and has now taught it to her followers. God's Direct Contact, which is one of many websites associated with Ching Hai, states that Quan Yin is the meditation of inner light and inner sound. The inner light, the light of God, is the same light referred to in the word enlightenment. The inner sound is the word referred to in the Bible. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. It is through the inner light and sound that we come to know God. The website vaguely elaborates further, not mentioning exactly what the Quan Yin method is, but that it is not an initiation into a new religion. However, there are 5 precepts that one must follow in order to learn Quan Yin. And this is just to learn. Refrain from taking the life of sentient beings. This precept requires strict adherence to a vegan diet. No meat, fish, poultry, or eggs, fertilized or non-fertilized. Refrain from speaking what is not true. Refrain from taking what is not yours. Refrain from sexual misconduct. Refrain from using intoxicants. This includes avoiding all poisons of any kind, such as alcohol, drugs, tobacco, gambling, pornography, and excessively violent films or literature. Ching Hai is not looking for followers, worshippers, or disciples, or to establish an organization with dues or paying memberships. She will not accept money, prostrations, or gifts from you, so you do not need to offer these to her. Sexual misconduct, you may ask? This includes having too much sex, not honoring your partner, cheating, but not homosexuality. I find this surprising because very often sexual misconduct includes being gay, but let's not get too excited here about this wokeness just yet. If you dig around Supreme Master TV, a 24-hour online broadcast network founded by Ching Hai, you will see her other teachings run the gamut of metaphysical practices and New Age teachings, each with 3/4 of the screen covered in subtitles in 24 different languages. These videos are now broadcast on YouTube, so the subtitles covering the screen are no longer necessary, though these might be like on some sort of master or something and they're just being replayed. But for Christ's sake, look at this. It's a mess. How can anyone watch this? Most concerning, to me at least, of these New Age teachings is breatharianism, a practice and claim that a person can survive on air alone. Ching Hai claims to have once been a breatharian and has promoted the works of Jasmu Hin, who's linked to at least 3 deaths caused by breatharianism. There are also many unscientific claims made by Ching Hai on Supreme Master TV, such as claiming that GMOs are spliced with animal genes that will cause obesity and heart disease. It gets even stranger, claiming that crop circles are real, the Dr. Emoto water experiments were true, there was ancient life on Mars and Venus that was destroyed by climate change, and that ancient aliens helped to build the pyramids, which is often regarded as a racist thought. The controversy gets a little grimmer. There are various testimonies from people who were either formerly her followers or were related to followers out online. One person claims that her spouse left her after a miscarriage because he was so dependent on Ching Hai's message. An elderly Welshman claimed that his wife left him for months at a time for Supreme Master's bidding and drained the family of finances by buying Ching Hai's jewelry, which was around $9,000 to $10,000 each. He eventually did divorce his wife to save his family. Her followers have also been accused of some extreme things. Some have threatened media outlets and Buddhist monks with bombs because of their criticism. This seems to go against their peaceful message, and I could not find anything saying that Ching Hai has even addressed this at all. Her Wikipedia page is constantly being bombarded with updates by her followers, taking away much of the criticism of her. Of course, if there is any backlash because of this video, I will be sure to let you all know via Twitter and Instagram, so turn on notifications, I guess. Let's jump back to China. In 2002, Chinese authorities accused the manager of the Wuhan Jiangxi Electric Testing Equipment Company of using the business as a cover-up to spread Ching Hai's heresies, and supporting 30 practitioners who masqueraded as employees and business associates. The manager was charged for falsely using the offices as a retreat site, organizing, recruiting new members, and illegally printing and distributing over 6,000 copies of heretical texts. Since then, it seems as though Ching Hai's followers are spreading her message digitally. Patricia Thornton, a political scientist at Oxford, has said that the group is a cyber sect, though I can say from my own personal experience that they still do have quite a bit of paper material floating around there. If you've ever been to a vegan restaurant, there's a high chance that it has ties to Ching Hai. Most well known is the chain that she owns, Loving Hut. In my area of Southern California alone, there are at least a half dozen vegan restaurants that aren't Loving Huts, but are still tied to Supreme Master. The dead giveaway? There's either a TV playing Supreme Master TV or a portrait of Ching Hai herself, who I affectionately called the Queen of One World before I knew who she was. Ching Hai founded the Loving Hut concept in 2008, with the first location opening in Alhambra, California. Its parent company is Loving Hut Company International. It was hard to find more recent information, but in 2011, each Loving Hut in the US was averaging $750,000 a year, totaling over $30 million across all of the restaurants in the United States. As of this recording, there are 203 restaurants in 41 countries on every continent except Antarctica. No two Loving Huts are the same. Each is allowed to make their own menu based on local tastes, as long as they're vegan. From anecdotal evidence, the ones in the US and other restaurants tied to Ching Hai, like One World and Vegan Pizza, all use the same supplier, Eco Vegan, which just so happens to also be owned by Ching Hai. The meat substitute is actually also very good, so quality product. People who open a franchise must acquire the license from Loving Hut Company International for no money. However, practitioners pool together their own funds to keep the restaurants afloat. This practice has been accused of making it look as though Ching Hai doesn't benefit from the company and keeps any misconduct away from Supreme Master. A few former employees have filed complaints accusing the Loving Huts that they worked at for mismanagement, withheld tips, and utilizing underpaid and unpaid labor. In 2010, a Loving Hut in France was investigated for using undocumented and unpaid labor, which resulted in 9 arrests. As mentioned before, Ching Hai also sells expensive jewelry, but she also sells expensive clothing. You can purchase her items online at the Celestial Shop, but her shirts and hoodies range from $25 to $65. Definitely pricey, but not as much as one disciple who allegedly paid $800 for a pair of Supreme Master's sweat socks. And where does all this money go? Well, in 1996, Supreme Master donated $640,000 to Bill Clinton's Presidential Legal Expense Trust. The Chicago Tribune wrote, "Friends of Bill and Hillary Rodham Clinton established the fund in May of 1994 as a way to pay lawyers who will defend the president against charges that he behaved badly when he was the governor of Arkansas." Behaving badly in this case refers to the rape of Juanita Broderick, and this is around the time in which the charges of sexual assault would be filed against Clinton by Paula Jones. This trial would eventually lead to the revelation of his affair with Monica Lewinsky. Ching Hai's donation was returned after an internal investigation. Not only was the amount of money suspicious, but much of it came from the form of sequential money orders from different cities, and only individuals could donate their own funds and not over $1,000. It's suspected that this money was collected during meetings at her meditation centers, which kind of goes against that whole donation thing. UNICEF also turned down a donation of $100,000 from Supreme Master after investigating the group. One source states that the Taiwanese government investigated Ching Hai's organizations for fundraising improprieties, which included a $2 million transfer outside of the country. Ching Hai and her followers also do not practice what she preaches. Most of her meditation centers are funded by donations. In 2010, Ching Hai was arrested at an Italian villa, and investigators seized a luxury car, 40,000 euros, 8 illegally imported macaws, and a Noah's Ark of animals. You don't need to be a vegan to know that importing wild animals to live in a domestic home is abusive and dangerous. She also had an artificial island illegally built in 2003 in Biscayne National Park, Florida. It was made of limestone boulder, disturbing the seagrass shallow, and its boardwalk was built by chopping down 300 to 500 mangrove trees. The property adjacent to the island was registered to a Celestia de l'Amour, a pseudonym of Ching Hai's. The removal of the limestone and planting of new mangrove trees cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Federal agencies attempted to make arrests, but it was found that the builders had already fled the country by then. Supreme Master rarely makes public appearances as of late. On occasion, she will speak at her meditation centers, and she is seen on Supreme Master TV, usually. It looks like she's kind of trying to maintain a low profile. Rick Ross, no, not that guy, this guy, a New Jersey-based expert on fringe religious movements, says that Ching Hai's movement fits the definition of a cult. Former members spoke to him, and he determined that this was a personality cult that brainwashes its followers and takes their money. Now, I remember having a conversation many years ago with a waiter at One World, which is a popular chain tied to Ching Hai. She was from South Africa and moved to California to follow Ching Hai. She said her family was concerned that she had joined a cult. She said that there was no need for them to worry. It wasn't a cult, it was just meditation and veganism. I don't want to sound ominous, but one day she just wasn't at One World anymore. Now I kind of wonder what happened to her. I went into this investigation thinking, how bad could it be? I certainly do agree with the message of veganism, nonviolence, and environmentalism. But learning more about the more dangerous New Age beliefs and all of the dubious money going around Ching Hai, not to mention putting animals and the environment in danger, it made me upset. It's like I've been lied to, and I know that there's a chance that I might be threatened by her followers for even making this video, and it kind of makes me wonder whether or not I will go to another Supreme Master related restaurant again. I'm not too sure, but the buffalo chicken burger from the Garden Grove Loving Hut location is really fucking good, so... Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. My other episodes are academic like this, but mainly focus on leftist politics, so I hope you don't mind the tonal shift. Be sure to follow me on Instagram so you can vote for the non-academic video topic every Saturday. Next one is Del Taco, which should be coming out soon. It was supposed to come out this week, but I can't miss World Vegan Day. After Del Taco will be the Mariko Aoki phenomenon, and following that will be the history and lore of Katamari Damacy. If you really like this video, please consider donating to my Patreon or Ko-fi. If you do, I'll give you a shout out like these folks, Abby, Jorge, and Nicholas. Thank you all so much. You are amazing and wonderful, and I love you. I even have a new special tier, the $6.66 tier, which makes you a cool kid. And you'll get a shout out from me. You'll also get a poorly done drawing of yourself by me with devil horns, and it'll be here at the end of the video, so isn't that fun? But that'll do for me today, and until next time, take care, and goodbye.